Nolan Wells audio distress call. Is it real? Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
Everyone in the background is saying, "Is he dead? Nolan, wake the f*** up."
Claiming they're sinking and calling for help. And yet in the background, are we really hearing all of this other activity?
Nobody has ever, none of the kids on this boat have ever admitted that anybody said that they thought Nolan was dead.
Detail Assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
All right. Well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir.
I don't know the phone number. It's either. I think it's. Try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership, like guaranteed. I don't have the tag
Unless
on
you
here.
have a
It got ripped
membership
off.
number or anything, it's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at?
Reach me at.
You are hearing the audio distress call from the boat. That is the boat on which Nolan Wells went to Horn Island. Now, there have been a lot of different accounts about whether he was on the boat when he came back from Horn Island, when he was supposed to come back from Horn Island. He never came back from Horn Island. And you can clearly hear on that version, which we obtained from the Mississippi Department of Marine Research. They released it. It's not something off TikTok or Insta. And that's what you hear. Let me hear 184 one more time, please.
Detail Assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
All right, so I want to be clear with this one thing, because I know you mentioned before. Is there any chance or any knowledge that you have that anybody deleted stuff from his phone?
Brother to me. Nolan lit up every room he walked in. 4th of July, everybody was out there. Nolan rode out on the Triton, and then we had a Palm Beach, 18 Palm Beach. There was 4 guys on that. The rest of the group, which was ranged from maybe 10 to 15 or 16 people on my buddy's tide line.
Yeah, so y'all pretty much having a good. So you guys get ready to leave out of there, getting towed out.
Yeah. And
then where's Nolan in this situation?
Well, Nolan was, the last time I saw Nolan was 3 o'clock, and Nolan was cradling a girl in his arms, Katie. Katie. And Katie, Nolan was sitting there, and the last time I saw him, I looked at Nolan, and Nolan was like shaking his head, laughing, and I was like, dude, you crazy. I was like just joking with him. And but anyway, Nolan, that was the last time I laid eyes on him. But when we were leaving, obviously no one is getting left at the island that came with us unless they demanded to, be there and asked, this is a very common thing at Horn Island. When you're out there, a lot of people ride out there with someone and in with somebody else all the time. I've done that 100 times. It's a very common thing, but Nolan was sitting by the boat with that Katie girl, and my buddy yelled for Nolan, get on the boat. We're leaving. The boat's having issues. And no, he didn't say that, but he was panicking. Nolan, get the F on the boat. Get on the boat. And Nolan said, no, I'm staying out here. I'm going to ride in with somebody else. And it's not uncommon to hear, but it's not like my buddy asked him one time. My buddy asked Nolan multiple times to get on the boat. Nolan, get on the boat, get on the boat. We're leaving. If you're coming, you got to come now. And Nolan made a decision to stay out on the island. And like he said, you know.
How many people heard that?
At least
just
five. I mean, everyone that was on our boat right there, because the Palm Beach had already left. My buddy went ahead and went home on the Palm Beach, and three guys all the way back. And Nolan wasn't the only person to ride out there with us and in with somebody else. I mean, we had multiple people in our group that rode out with us and rode in on someone else's boat. And that, like I said, that's not an uncommon thing to do, you know? I mean, a lot of people do that. I could name probably 50 people out there that day that ran out with somebody and ran back in with somebody else. So, I mean, it's not like it's an uncommon thing, but it's not like we just left him there or my friends just left him there. Nolan made a decision to stay on the island after my friends asked him multiple times and told him to get on the boat, and he decided to stay.
And I heard the girl that he was with, Katie, had text somebody that she heard people yelling
correct
for Nolan to get on it. Is that true?
And I have a picture of that. She texted my buddy, and the next day everybody was panicking and everybody's texting Katie, you know, because she was obviously seen with Nolan the whole day at the island. Katie sent a message to my buddy the next day and said, you know, this is the last time I saw him, you know, he's really sweet. But she also mentioned that the last time she saw Nolan was when my buddy was yelling at him to get on the boat. And she was right there to see that Nolan decided not to.
So what's your intent in calling the Coast Guard, right? Because right now, Nolan could be with a chick. He could be with somebody else.
Right.
He could have gone back with somebody else. What made you concerned enough that you felt like you couldn't weigh it out anymore? You had to call the Coast Guard.
Well, I mean, like I said, my friends and I have been on the water our whole life. Stuff happens. People die all the time. I know people that have died out there. And, you know, it's a fun place to be, but it's also a very, very dangerous place to be if you're not handling it right. And Nolan, so I hadn't heard from him. And obviously, I'm thinking I'd way rather be safe than sorry. I mean, I would rather call the Coast Guard 100 times and lose my mind over it and my buddy be okay than, you know, not, and me not know where he is and him not be okay. And so I called the Coast Guard and I talked to them on the phone for like 20 minutes, gave them a description, what Nolan was wearing, the last place we were at, the last time I saw him, who we were with, what boat we were on, the conditions of the water, just a summary. And I called Miss Christine back after and I talked to her and I said, I got in contact with the Coast Guard. I'm not sure who she called or, what she did, but I think she said she was going to make a couple phone calls to either DMR or Jackson County Sheriff's Office. And I was thinking worst case scenario. Like, I mean, I would way rather be safe than sorry about this,
The Officer Tatum on YouTube, he has interviewed Nolan's friends. Now, we're about to bring on two experts, each one taking a different viewpoint on that call. But, Officer Tatum, thank you for being with us tonight. What do you make of that audio, Officer?
Well, Nancy, thank you so much for having me on. If you put the audio within context, it is an impossibility unless these people are prophesying that somehow they're saying Nolan's name or projecting that Nolan is somehow injured, hurt, or killed, because we have witnesses that have come out. When I interviewed Warren, a lot of those kids that I talked to already alluded to this way before the audio came out, that they were gone. And people had already saw Nolan after they had left. The young lady, Katie, that he was hanging out with, I saw a text message from her alluding to the fact that she never saw him get on that boat at all. We have video of the boat that we shared on our social media page, and it shows all the occupants on the boat, and Nolan was not there. And so if a person thinks that they've heard something on the audio, they have to compare it with context. Maybe they said, is it dead? Talking about items that could potentially have died or damaged on the boat, given the fact that they were sinking. So I think people need to put this in context and reevaluate what they're listening to on the video, because if you are going to make a staunch stance in the wrong direction, in my opinion, by saying they're obviously talking about Nolan. It is incredibly impossible. One more thing, real quick, that when you look at where they were at when they made the phone call and their GPS coordinates, it literally put them on the island. And we know, and not on the physical island, but really close proximity to the island. And we know, because we have another video of Nolan being out there and also all the other boats surrounding him, that this would have had to happen very near to hundreds of people in hundreds of different boats. So somebody would have seen something if there was a dramatic commotion like this occurring on that boat.
I hear what you're saying, Officer Brandon Tatum.
The state of Mississippi is trying to reshape the narrative on the Nolan Wells death? Really? So it has been reported that Nolan Wells, witnesses have come forward to say that Nolan Wells was drinking heavily during the day of the 4th of July. As to say, that's why he drowned. Because remember, authorities have already come out and said, even before they did the autopsy, that Nolan Wells drowned. And his mother, Christine Wansley, said that was not good enough for her. That she needed a medical explanation as to what led up to those events of him, if they say he drowned, right? Now let me ask y'all something. Was Nolan Wells the only one on Horn Island with his group of friends that was drinking? Let's go back through the evidence. Now, as you can see, the gentleman right next to Nolan Wells has beer dripping all down his chest. The other guy had a beer can in his hand. Now, these children are all under the age of 21. None of them can legally purchase alcohol except for Bart. Wait a minute. Bart, were you the one who bought the alcohol for the underage kids that day on the boat on Horn Island? Was it you? Oh, this plot is just really thickening. Not to mention, if Nolan was drinking, if the toxicology come back and he did have alcohol, that doesn't negate the fact that something nefarious happened on that island. Just because Bart was drinking is going to lead to all these things that we see plain as day in our face. We're just going to bypass this, right? We also are going to forget the fact that allegedly they deleted everything off of their social media accounts. We're gonna not think about, oh, Nolan was drinking, so now they gotta, if Nolan was drinking, why everybody got a lawyer up? Why everybody got an attorney? And if Nolan was heavily drinking on the 4th of July, we just gonna forget the fact that the telephone calls for the tip line was routed to Ashley Cole, Judge Ashley Cole's office, instead of going to the Jackson County Sheriff's Department? Really? Yeah, all these things cannot be coincidental. We're going to negate the fact that now Governor Tate Reeves is coming out trying to assault Ben Crump's character, call him a bold-faced lie. Really? We're just going to negate the fact that the Sheriff's Department, the day of, right when they pulled Nolan Wells' body out of the water, stated it was a drowning. Are you serious? I just want to know this. With those children who were drinking, nobody is drawing attention to that. And even if Nolan was drunk on the 4th of July, that does not give anybody a pass to do anything harmful to him or take his life because he was drunk. And it does not fall on him. That does not make him responsible for leaving here.
Dr. Judy Melanek, I'm a board-certified forensic pathologist. And I just watched the Nolan Wells press conference, and I wanted to share some context for everyone. Being able to definitively state the cause of death after a body has not been found for several days and has been subsequently autopsied twice with signs of decomposition is incredibly, incredibly unlikely. Drowning is what's called a diagnosis of exclusion, which means that when you've got a fresh body, you want to be able to look at the body and see if there's any other causes of death for that body that is found in water that exclude the death being exclusively a drowning. So, for example, if someone is shot and then thrown in the water, you'll have that gunshot and they'll be bleeding, and the gunshot will be the cause of death, and the thrown in the water is not the cause of death. It's not even on the death certificate. If a person is strangled and they die from strangulation and then their dead body is thrown in the water, their body will take on water, but the cause of death is going to be strangulation, not drowning. Also, for any kind of traumatic injuries. Now we got to talk about natural death for a second. If someone has a heart attack while they are swimming, and because they're having the heart attack as they're exercising in the water, and they take on water and they drown, the cause of death is actually drowning, and the heart attack is listed on the death certificate under other significant conditions contributing to death. So even though the heart attack might have killed them on dry land, it might not have. Most certainly they wouldn't on dry land. So we defer to the hostile environment, which is the water, to call it a drowning. Now, identifying natural disease and identifying trauma is relatively easy in a fresh body. It can be very difficult in a decomposed body. His body was found here, and this second autopsy done by Dr. Roger Mitchell wasn't until 4 days later. So we're dealing with quite a bit of decomposition, even if the body was refrigerated during that time.
Now, their lawyers are using subpoenas to try to get some answers. They're asking multiple tech companies to preserve relevant social media and phone records. It's still unclear how Wells's body ended up on the shoreline of a coastal island 2 days after a boating trip with friends. His cause of death is undetermined, according to an independent autopsy. The state autopsy reportedly is complete, but the results are not yet public.
We are begging, if anyone knows anything, his friends, strangers, please call the hotline, because we will not be able to rest until we get answers.
The boat returned from Horn Island carrying Nolan Wells' phone, but not Nolan. During an Independence Day gathering, the 18-year-old had become separated from his companions. They believed he had another way home. His parents rejected that explanation. What happened between his final reported sighting and the group's departure is central, although authorities had not established that a homicide occurred. This story concerns an unexplained death and may be upsetting. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome to True Crime News Report. Subscribe, like, share, comment, and tell us where you are watching from as we examine the evidence. Nolan Xavier Wells was an Ocean Springs teenager, student, and football player nearing his 19th birthday. His parents, Christine Wells Wansley and Elmore Wansley Sr., knew him as someone who stayed connected and communicated plans. Among those linked to the timeline were his friends Trayston Shepard, Warren Hudson, and Javon Williams. On July 4th, Nolan joined a holiday gathering on Horn Island, a barrier island reached by boat. The vessel connected to his group reportedly departed around 9:56 a.m. and arrived at approximately 11:14 a.m. The wider party traveled aboard several boats, making later passenger movements harder to reconstruct. Photographs, videos, and witness statements place Nolan at the gathering during the afternoon, but online interpretations soon complicated the record. One circulating video captured a confrontation and a voice apparently requesting a phone. Attorney Ben Crump initially discussed claims that the voice was Nolan's. Trayston later said it was his own voice and that he, not Nolan, was involved in that confrontation. Javon said he saw Nolan that afternoon. He also explained that phones had been left aboard a boat to keep them safe from the water. That account offered a practical reason Nolan's phone was elsewhere, but it did not establish his location when boats began leaving. The footage confirms only what it visibly shows. Captions and theories added online are not verified evidence. According to friends, Nolan planned to remain with Katie McCormack and return aboard another vessel. Yet Katie reportedly believed Nolan had already departed. Warren said the group never intended to abandon him and understood that he had secured another ride. Trayston said he left earlier after his own confrontation. Those explanations did not satisfy Nolan's parents. They believed their son would not voluntarily stay on a remote island without his phone, clear communication, and a confirmed journey home. The accounts may reflect confusion, but they leave a critical gap. Who actually knew Nolan's plan before the final departures? At roughly 4 p.m., a sea tow call reported that a vessel was taking on water. Bart Edmiston Jr. reportedly assisted the group. Accounts said a transom plug was removed so trapped water could drain while the boat moved. Bart later cooperated with investigators and had not been publicly identified as a suspect. The boat emergency explained the urgency surrounding its departure, but not Nolan's absence. When everyone reached the mainland and expected rides were checked, the alarming truth emerged. Nolan had never returned. By late evening on July 4, the belief that Nolan had found another ride was no longer holding. He had not returned to the mainland, and no confirmed witness could place him safely aboard another vessel. At about 11:07 p.m., Christine Wells Wansley received a call that raised the alarm. She contacted people who might know where Nolan was, checked location information, and learned that his phone was already back on land. A family friend retrieved the device from a friend's home. At approximately 11:49 p.m., Christine reported Nolan missing, turning uncertainty into an emergency. Time now mattered, and the search area was vast. The response expanded across Horn Island and the surrounding water. Jackson County deputies, the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, the Coast Guard, National Park Service personnel, fire crews, aircraft, volunteer boaters, and the United Cajun Navy joined the effort. Searchers faced miles of undeveloped shoreline, dunes, heat, limited visibility, adverse weather, and changing currents. Drones were deployed, although technical problems disrupted some flights, while vessels conducted shoreline patrols and sonar sweeps. Nolan remained missing throughout July 5th. On July 6th, a National Park Service ranger located him near the island's northwestern tip. Sheriff John Ledbetter led the investigation, while Coroner Bruce Lind confirmed Nolan's identity. Drowning was considered early, but it was not yet a final determination. Data collected by the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources provided a mechanical record of the boat's route. The vessel departed Horn Island at 4:31 p.m. after the reported emergency and was assisted for part of its journey. Its track then led toward the mainland, into Fort Bayou around 5:52 p.m., back to the dock at 6:06, and later to the Fort Bayou launch. Reports about whether assistance brought the vessel back toward the island require careful comparison with the complete track. GPS establishes where a boat traveled. It cannot reveal each passenger's actions, conversations, knowledge, or intentions. The sea tow recording confirms that a caller reported a boat taking on water after its bilge pump stopped working and requested assistance. Public debate soon focused on words and voices said to be audible behind the caller. Those interpretations remain contested. Wind, engine noise, overlapping speech, distance from the microphone, and compressed recordings can change what listeners believe they hear. Nolan's family requested independent expert analysis of the original audio. Social media transcriptions, however confident, are not authenticated evidence. Digital records could narrow the remaining gaps. Footage reportedly shows preparations to leave Horn Island and raises the question of whether Nolan appears aboard the distressed vessel. Investigators can compare original videos with metadata, location histories, messages, call logs, photographs, GPS records, and marine communications. Christine pursued legal access to Nolan's technology and social media records. Original files matter because edited reposts, missing context, and AI-manipulated material cannot carry equal evidentiary weight. The Mississippi State Medical Examiner's Office conducted the official examination. The family also commissioned an independent examination by Dr. Roger Mitchell, who reportedly listed the cause and manner as undetermined pending further investigation. Undetermined does not establish homicide. It means toxicology, environmental conditions, medical findings, and Nolan's final movements still required clarification. Reverend Al Sharpton and the NOC joined the family's call for answers, voiced through attorney Ben Crump. Subscribe to True Crime News Report for verified forensic and investigative updates as this case develops. Warren Hudson said Nolan intended to return from Horn Island with someone else, so the group did not believe they were leaving him without transportation. Trayston Shepard's contribution concerns the confrontation video. He said the disputed voice was his, correcting claims that Nolan was heard demanding his phone. Javon Williams reported seeing Nolan on the island and said phones were left aboard a boat to protect them from water. Katie McCormick reportedly understood that Nolan had already departed with his friends. That conflicts directly with the belief that he stayed to travel with another party. Christine Wells Wansley and Elmore Wansley Sr. rejected the idea that their son would remain without his phone or a confirmed ride. Some accounts can coexist. The differing understandings of Nolan's departure cannot all describe the same plan. The discrepancies require verification, but do not prove deception. 3 possibilities remain. Nolan may have encountered an accidental water-related incident after becoming separated from his group. A medical emergency or impairment may also have reduced his ability to seek help, although toxicology and medical findings are needed. A third possibility is outside involvement that has not been established and requires investigation. Nolan's uncertain final location, conflicting transportation accounts, and unresolved forensic questions keep each explanation under review. Those gaps justify continued investigation, but do not prove that any named person committed a crime. Bart Edmiston Jr.'s documented connection is limited to reportedly helping the distressed boat. His father, Bart Edmiston Sr., and attorney Russell Latino challenged accusations online through a reported cease and desist action. Bart Jr. had not been publicly identified as a suspect. Threats, edited footage, unsupported labels, and allegedly manipulated material cannot replace authenticated evidence. Repetition can make an allegation seem established, but it does not make that allegation true. Investigators still need final forensic conclusions, toxicology findings, professional analysis of the original C-tow recording, complete phone and social media records, authenticated photographs and videos, and additional witness interviews. Those materials must support one consolidated timeline connecting Nolan's final confirmed sighting with the boat's movements. Until criminal charges are filed, there is no trial, verdict, or sentencing to report, and no courtroom conclusion should be added. The case returns to a turning point. The boat left Horn Island without Nolan. It is reported that friends expected him to use another ride. What each person understood remains disputed. His final movements and medical explanation remain unresolved. Nolan's family deserves a complete answer, while uncharged individuals must not be treated as guilty through speculation. What do the authenticated GPS, phone, audio, video, and forensic records reveal about Nolan's final movements? Subscribe to True Crime News Report, activate notifications, share this documentary, and comment respectfully on which evidence investigators should prioritize next.